Ever wonder why so many stars vanished from Fast and Loud just as the show hit peak fame? From Richard Rawlings' explosive fight for control to Aaron Kaufman's brutal 110-hour weeks and a shocking firing over a photo with a sick fan, the truth is far messier than TV ever showed. Let's uncover the real reasons these cast members walked away from Gas Monkey for good. Richard Rawlings. Richard Rawlings, the big boss of Gas Monkey Garage, built a huge empire, but he did not start with cars at all. Before the fame and the grease, in 1999, he started a company called Lincoln Press. This company was all about printing and advertising. He spent years building it up, but when someone with a lot more money came along and wanted to buy his company, Richard made a quick decision. He sold it, and that sale gave him the cash he needed to start new ventures. His true vision for Gas Monkey Garage came from a place many people could understand: watching his own father. Richard often talked about how his dad would spend weekends in the backyard working on cars, drinking a cold beer, and cleaning his Mustang. This simple, classic American scene became the guiding idea for everything Richard would build. It was the heart of the Gas Monkey brand, a place where old cars could be brought back to life with a lot of noise and fun. In 2004, Richard opened the Gas Monkey Garage with his master mechanic, Aaron Kaufman. Their first shop was tiny, just 130 square meters, and it did not even have running water or heat. This humble beginning makes the later success of Gas Monkey Garage and Fast and Loud even more surprising. Fast and Loud was a massive hit on Discovery Channel. It ran for 16 seasons and produced 155 episodes, captivating millions of viewers. What is even more surprising is that the show was at its peak when it ended. The ratings for Fast and Loud were actually the best they had ever been in its final 16th season. So, it came as a huge shock to many fans when the show suddenly did not return for a 17th season. How could a show that was so popular, pulling in millions of viewers each week, just vanish from the air? The answer came directly from Richard Rawlings himself. Richard Rawlings confirmed on the Joe Rogan Experience podcast that he was the one who decided to walk away from Discovery Channel in 2020. This was not a cancellation by the network because of low ratings. It was a choice made by the man in charge. The reason behind this shocking move was a battle for control. Richard wanted to do many things that his contract with Discovery Channel simply did not allow. The network had a tight grip on his brand, even controlling his social media accounts. Imagine not being able to post a personal picture without getting approval from a TV company. That was Richard's reality. On top of that, there was a strict rule in his contract. If he said anything negative about Discovery Channel, he could be fined up to $25,000 for each instance. This made him feel stuck, like he could not truly be himself or expand his brand the way he wanted. He had big dreams like starting his own automotive podcast and other projects, but he was tied down by his exclusive deal with Discovery. Feeling limited and unable to grow, Richard made a bold choice during the 2020 pandemic. He decided it was time to cut ties with Discovery and go his own way. Life after Discovery Channel proved that Richard's gamble paid off. He took his over-the-top brand to YouTube, where he launched a highly successful channel. There, fans can still get their fix of car builds, listen to his podcasts, and see what he is up to. With over 1.5 million subscribers, Richard is likely making more money on the internet than he ever did on basic cable. And the best part is, he has complete control over all his content. He still runs Gas Monkey Garage, and his Gas Monkey Bar and Grill restaurants are thriving. However, not all his ventures succeeded. His music venue, Gas Monkey Live, closed its doors in 2020. In 2022, Richard also auctioned off a large part of his impressive car collection. He did this not because he needed money, but because he wanted to invest in even better, more special cars, always looking to improve his collection and brand. Aaron Kaufman. When Fast and Loud first started, it was a two-man show at its heart: Richard Rawlings and his incredibly talented master mechanic, Aaron Kaufman. Aaron was almost as beloved by fans as Richard himself, known for his calm demeanor and incredible skill with cars. What made Aaron so special was his natural gift for tearing things apart and putting them back together, making them better than new. He did not go to a fancy school for mechanics. He taught himself hot rodding, car mechanics, and fabrication through countless hours of hands-on work with his own cars and those of his friends. He quickly rose to become the lead mechanic at Gas Monkey Garage. The show's winning recipe was simple. Richard would find a rusty old junker with potential, and then Aaron would work his magic, bringing it back to life. This partnership was the engine that drove Fast and Loud to fame. But even the most talented mechanics can reach a breaking point. After 10 seasons in 2017, Aaron Kaufman suddenly quit Gas Monkey Garage. Fans were stunned and left wondering why their favorite bearded mechanic would leave such a successful show. Aaron later explained the real reason. There was simply too much pressure to get the cars done for the TV show's tight schedule. The show needed cars finished quickly, focusing on smaller projects that could be completed in a limited time for each episode. But Aaron, a true craftsman, wanted to build bigger, more difficult cars that needed more time and a larger budget to be done right. Think about the impossible tasks they faced. In the very first season of Fast and Loud, Aaron and the crew were given a decrepit 1931 Model A Ford that had not run in ages. They had to fix it up and make it perfect in just 9 days, all for an important swap meet. A restoration and rebuild of that scale would normally take a whole year. To meet these crazy deadlines, the crew often worked incredibly long hours, sometimes a mind-boggling 110 hours per week. Imagine working so much that you are completely exhausted. Aaron sometimes fell asleep right inside the cars he was working on, even with the cameras rolling, and he even took showers with a hose behind the garage because there was no time for anything else. This constant rush and demand for speed, rather than quality, wore him down. Beyond the grueling hours and tight deadlines, Aaron also said there were growing personal issues and professional differences of opinions about what he wanted to build and the kinds of jobs Gas Monkey Garage was taking on for the TV show. It was not just about the speed, it was about the creative direction of the work itself. Richard Rawlings, on the other hand, said Aaron's departure was not my decision and came completely out of left field. He also claimed he liked to keep the drama away from the cameras, suggesting any issues were minor. However, other voices tell a different story. Scott McMillan, another mechanic who worked with Aaron and was an early part of the show, did not hold back. He said directly that, "Nobody likes Richard. Nobody's ever liked Richard." Scott even called Richard an idiot who doesn't know anything about cars, but admitted he was a good salesman. After leaving the whirlwind of Gas Monkey and Fast and Loud in 2017, Aaron Kaufman started a new chapter. He opened his own shop called ArcLight Fabrication in Dallas, Texas. This new shop was his dream come true, allowing him to finally work on the bigger projects he always wanted to do. ArcLight Fabrication mainly focuses on making custom, high-quality aftermarket parts for Ford F-150 and F-100 trucks, a niche where Aaron could truly shine and build things his way. Aaron also found his way back to television, but on his own terms. He starred in his own shows, like Shifting Gears and Aaron Needs a Job, where he explored different automotive projects and learned new skills, showing his passion for cars and building was stronger than ever. The fired-up garage crew, from fired to forged in fire. The drama at Gas Monkey Garage was not limited to Richard and Aaron. Many avid fans will remember the shocking episode where two popular monkeys, Tom Smith and Jordan Butler, were suddenly fired from Gas Monkey Garage in the show. On the show, viewers were told they were let go for simple reasons, like showing up late and poor work performance. But the real story, according to Tom Smith himself and other reports, was far more dramatic and personal. The truth was that they were fired after an incident involving a fan with cystic fibrosis. This fan had come to the garage and wanted to take a photo next to Richard Rawlings' very fancy Rolls-Royce. Tom and Jordan, being friendly, allowed the fan to take the picture. But a manager at the garage saw what was happening and got very angry, loudly telling them to get the away from the car. Tom Smith, standing up for himself and the fan, then told the manager to chill the out. This defiance did not go over well, and Tom and Jordan were fired just a few hours later. This incident showed a clear clash between employee actions and Richard's strict rules, especially when it came to his prized possessions. But being fired was not the end of the road for Tom and Jordan. In a surprising twist, they quickly became important cast members on a new spin-off show called Misfit Garage. The idea behind Misfit Garage was to show that a group of misfits could still do high-level car builds and prove that money was not everything. Their new shop was called Fired Up Garage. Here is the real kicker. Richard Rawlings, the very person who fired them from Gas Monkey Garage, was actually the landlord of the Fired Up Garage building. Not only that, but Richard Rawlings was also an executive producer for Misfit Garage. This meant that even though he had fired them, Tom and Jordan continued to work for him differently, and Richard still made money from their new show. The feud between Fired Up Garage and Richard Rawlings that was often shown on Misfit Garage was mostly made up for TV, a way to create drama and keep viewers hooked. Richard would appear on the show to taunt them, but in real life, he had a financial interest in their success, showing his shrewd business mind at work, turning even a conflict into profit. Scott McMillan Jr. was another mechanic who was heavily featured in the first season of Fast and Loud. He had a long history with Aaron Kaufman, being friends with him since high school. Scott was one of the early departures from Gas Monkey Garage, leaving at the end of Season 1 to focus on his own business, Scott Rod's Garage, which he had actually started back in 2011. This showed his independent spirit from the very beginning. Later, Scott joined Tom Smith and Jordan Butler as a founding partner of Fired Up Garage on Misfit Garage. However, his time there was also short-lived. Scott left Misfit Garage as well. He explained his reasons were creative differences over a Camaro build and that he was simply tired of all the drama that seemed to follow the show. Today, Scott continues to work full-time building hot rods at his own successful business, Scott Rod's Garage, and he is very active on social media, sharing his projects with his followers. Beyond the main cast members who left with a bang, several other familiar faces from Gas Monkey Garage also moved on, each for their own reasons. Christine Brimberry, the manager at Gas Monkey Garage, was a strong presence on the show. What many fans did not know was that behind the scenes, she bravely battled and successfully overcame thyroid cancer. After her time on Fast and Loud, Christine chose a different path, and she now works at her family salon. Her departure was not due to conflict or creative differences, but a personal journey of health and a return to her family roots. Casey Mathieu was the talented painter who made many of Gas Monkey's builds shine. After the show wrapped up, Casey took his artistic skills and started his own company, which is still going strong today. His decision to branch out on his own shows a common thread among the skilled individuals from the garage, a desire for independence and to build their own successful brands, much like Aaron and Scott. Mike Coy was another painter at Gas Monkey Garage, known for his eye for detail. After Fast and Loud, Mike did not leave the world of car restoration on TV entirely. He is now a star on the Netflix car restoration series Tex-Mex Motors, where he continues to kick some butt. Mike is also very active on Instagram, showing off his painting and fabrication tools to his many followers. Then there is Dragon Lady Sue Martin, who was never an official Ass Monkey employee, but was a crucial part of the early builds. She was the one who handled the intricate interiors of most of the cars. Sue was noticeably missing from the last few seasons of Fast and Loud, but neither Richard Rawlings nor Sue herself ever publicly commented on why she disappeared from the show. Despite her quiet exit from the TV screen, her ASM auto upholstery shop is still thriving today, continuing to do the custom work she loves. The unseen pressures and realities. The shiny cars and quick flips seen on Fast and Loud often hit a tougher reality behind the scenes at Gas Monkey Garage. The garage is located in Dallas, Texas, a place known for its scorching summer heat. For over a decade, the crew, affectionately known as the Monkeys, worked in this intense heat without any air conditioning. Imagine trying to do precise, hard work in such conditions. It was not until 2014 that air conditioning units were finally installed, a huge and complex job that needed major electrical and plumbing upgrades to the 15,000 square foot facility. Even after the AC was put in, Richard Rawlings joked that he still expected the monkeys to sweat from their labor, showing his demanding nature. Beyond the heat, the crew often worked incredibly long hours to meet the demanding TV production schedule. As mentioned earlier, especially during the first season, they sometimes put in a shocking 110 hours per week. This meant sacrificing sleep, personal time, and comfort, pushing them to their physical limits. This kind of grueling work environment, where employee comfort might have been secondary to meeting TV deadlines and making a profit, likely contributed to the high turnover and dissatisfaction among the mechanics. Like many reality shows, Fast and Loud was not always as real as it seemed. The show was not immune to manipulation, with producers often editing things out or making situations look tougher and faster than they truly were. Some parts of the show were completely staged for entertainment. For example, the random clients who appeared to sell cars were not always so random. Even the famous feud between Richard Rawlings and fellow customizer Jesse James had elements that were set up for the cameras. Jesse James once famously dumped a truck full of horse manure in Gas Monkey's driveway as a response to Richard's jokes, and this dramatic event was, of course, filmed for the show. The show also made complex car builds seem like they were completed almost overnight, when in reality they took much, much longer. A perfect example of this was the Shark-Cat Dodge Dart. This car needed a complete dismantling and reassembly of its computer system, a painstaking process that was made to look like it happened in a single night. This constant bending of reality could be very frustrating for genuine mechanics and craftsmen who knew the true effort and time involved in quality builds. Richard Rawlings has always seen himself as a delegator, not a micromanager. He often says that if he trusts someone enough to hire them and has seen their skills, he expects them to do the job without him looking over their shoulder. However, the experience of many employees paints a different picture. Some felt that Richard overworked his employees and treated them like crap. There is a common feeling that nobody wants to work for Richard because of his demanding nature. Many believe that Richard took the spotlight and glory for the hard work done by his mechanics. This led to a situation where talented individuals, instead of staying, would want to build their own businesses where they could get the recognition they deserved. The show certainly had a high turnover of employees over the years. This constant revolving door of talent suggests that while Richard's business drive led to great success, his management style and personality created a high-pressure, potentially unappreciative environment that led many skilled workers to seek their fortunes elsewhere. The drama and challenges were not just confined to the garage. Richard's Gas Monkey Bar and Grill restaurants also faced their share of problems. In 2015, a sting operation by the Texas Alcoholic Beverage Commission found that the Gas Monkey Bar and Grill was reportedly selling cheaper tequila as higher-end Patron tequila. The restaurant denied doing anything wrong, but the incident certainly cast a shadow over the brand. In a surprising turn, Richard Rawlings himself later sued the Gas Monkey Bar and Grill. He claimed issues like the bar linking his name to a whiskey brand without his approval, hosting lewd events that conflicted with his family-friendly brand image, and not paying him agreed-upon licensing fees. This legal battle showed how fiercely Richard protected his brand and financial interests. Both sides eventually settled in 2019, and the bar later rebranded, removing all Gas Monkey branding. These controversies show that the Gas Monkey empire, while successful, faced real-world legal and ethical challenges, further complicating its public image and the relationships within its various ventures. The world of Fast and Loud was a wild ride, full of amazing cars and big personalities. But behind the scenes, the real reasons cast members left were often about more than just cars. It was about creative freedom, the tough demands of television production, personal differences, and the deep desire to build something truly their own. The Gas Monkey brand continues to roar, but the journeys of those who left show the real human cost and triumphs behind the scenes of a reality TV phenomenon.